In this segment, Stephanie Miller is joined by Tristan Snell. Tristan was the attorney who successfully sued and won the lawsuit against the former president in the Trump University case. He's got an interesting insight on the pending cases facing Trump and the best way to prosecute a case that wins against him. Here's Stephanie.
Does delusion work as a legal defense in any case?
I don't think we're getting to a point where he can claim an insanity defense. No. As he always says himself, he passes all the cognitive tests with flying colors, which then yields the question of why were they giving you cognitive tests? But that's a different question.
Right.
But unfortunately, narcissism and delusional behavior are not legal defenses.
Yeah. Trump ranted nonstop all weekend after the Carroll verdict, we're hearing. People who spoke to him said he ranted nonstop, often profanely, about how he never met Carroll, how he wasn't permitted by the judge to speak freely at the trial, how the jury just made up a number awarding the verdict. Mainly, Trump kept repeating that he doesn't know her. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, Alina Habba, thank you, is a bad lawyer. But also, how do you defend a delusional client that just keeps trying to say, I don't know her, I've never met her, despite pictures and evidence and all of that?
Because Habba is also a bit delusional about all of this. I mean, she's been running around representing him, and I don't know that he's ever paid her. She got benched a year ago and sidelined, and then managed to work her way back into the starting rotation, and then made a whole bunch of additional mistakes. She's way in over her head here. But this is part of the book. He brings out this clown car full of lawyers. There's a constant shuffling and rotation as he hires and fires and benches and starts them. There's no consistency. When they actually do get in the game, they spew all of this vitriol and all of these diversions around, and you basically have to ignore it and sit back and wait for them to make a mistake. And that's thankfully what the AG's office did. That's what E. Jean Carroll and her lawyers led by Robbie Kaplan did. Mm-hmm. And so now we're seeing the fruits of that.
And so now she might get sanctioned on top of ruining her reputation and not getting paid.
Again, because they got sanctioned before. They got sanctioned for suing Hillary Clinton and James Comey and a whole bunch of other people. They got sanctioned almost $1 million in federal court down in Florida. I don't know if they paid that yet. Yeah. Habba reportedly owes a bunch of other money. But yes, Habba might get sanctioned again.
Who's going to take this? Who's going to take this case that apparently Trump is looking for? It's like the number 2 guy for Al Qaeda or a Spinal Tap drummer. Like, who wants this job? I don't understand. And you did a great thing I saw on Twitter with everybody that's all of our regulars are in it, but talking about how since you've done it, right? I mean, and you must have. I can't imagine, you watching this E. Jean Carroll thing and feeling like finally, since you won on Trump University, someone has made this guy face some consequences.
Yeah, they did a great job. And I think the thing is now we're really seeing, Stephanie, that it's not just these prosecutors that are now working on taking him down. It's also private litigants. Now, not everybody's going to be able to pull that off. But we've seen just within this past year, both E. Jean Carroll and Michael Cohen win some significant cases against Trump. And I think, potentially we're going to see more. Now, the thing is, though, I just wish that there was some way to, rewind the clock and get better outcomes for some of the really, really unfortunate small business owners who over many, many decades have been screwed over by Trump, going all the way back to his casinos in Atlantic City. He ruined a bunch of people's lives through what he did and is no friend to Main Street America, not even close, even though he holds himself out to be. I wish those folks could have had the resources to be able to do some of this. But now I think we are, though, really seeing the defense shields of the Death Star have been kind of taken down. And now everybody's coming in. Yeah. And we'll see what happens.
Thank you for that nerd reference. Yeah. Are you at all struck that Trump cannot run a university, a charity, and as of, probably next week, a business in New York, and yet he might still run the country? Do you find that at all?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a problem. And it also, by the way, let's just note that it's a problem that he held himself out to be this great businessman and wonderful CEO, when in fact he's never really made much money on anything except various forms of fraud.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to find a profitable business that he's run that didn't have some kind of fraud or illegality laced in there.
Right.
And now he's basically surviving hand to mouth on his political donations.
Yeah.
Is really what it looks like. You'd think that this wouldn't be someone that we would want running the country. I don't think that you would want him, running a town of 10 people.
Yeah. Tristan,
whatever that town is in New Hampshire, Dixville Notch.
Dixville Notch,
Dixville Notch
yes.
would not want, and they didn't. They voted all for Nikki Haley.
Yeah.
So they were like, no, we don't want you running our town.
and the first part of
Mr.
that
Trump.
city kind of describes him, but that's not important now. So you tweeted, because I just love that he's committing more crimes while he's on trial for
Correct.
other crimes. And is he committing crime? You said, is Trump illegally using his campaign money to pay his personal legal fees? This is a question investigative journalists should be asking right now. Can you talk to us about that for a sec? Because isn't that illegal?
Yeah, look, there's gray areas there where it's like, oh, you can use the funds for things like a recount or something like that that's related to the campaign. But should you be using it for funding your defense for your personal businesses to be accused of fraud, or your defense when you raped and then defamed a woman?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like those things are pretty far afield from campaign activities or anything political. But in his head, he's spun this as, well, if it has to do with me, it must be political, and it has to do with me as a candidate. So, that's the way he's justifying it. We're way far away from what would be acceptable, I think. I think we really need to be asking a lot more questions.
Yeah. Didn't he defraud all his donors in the first place when he said all this money is going to overturn the election to fight the election? None of it went for that. I mean, this has always been a grift.
We heard that there was investigation going on as part of the DOJ investigation into the Stop the Steal money, but then we haven't heard where that went. So I still think that that's a wing of the investigation that may come up again, but right now we don't know where that went.
Let's talk about, this, in terms of the Judge Engoron thing, I don't know if this is going to play. Trump Organization Monitor may have just uncovered almost $50 million smoking gun. I mean, again, when we're in the middle of getting to consequences for one crime, he appears to then commit other ones. The monitor overseeing Trump Organization during the civil fraud trial brought by Letitia James has uncovered a mysterious loan that could unravel Trump's legal position. So obviously we're awaiting Judge Engoron's judgment here. He's already been found guilty, much like in the Jean Carroll case, correct? But it says that what they're saying is what it could mean is Trump, while under court-appointed monitorship, was lying to the federal government and misleading a monitor. That what Jones has uncovered could be even further evidence of fraud. As recently as last year, it could be the cherry on top of the sundae that Engoron serves Trump. I mean,
yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing there, is that where this could really come to completely bite him in the ass is the big question on the appeal for this New York AG civil fraud case is going to be, look, he's already been found liable. I think that's going to get upheld. There's going to be a large number that Engoron comes up with. I think it's going to be somewhere between 200 million and the 370 million that the AG is asking for. I think that's going to get upheld. It could get shaved off a little bit, but I think that's going to be a big nine-digit number. Okay.
Wow.
Then the real question is going to be, do the corporate charters get canceled and these New York companies get placed into receivership and liquidated? And then if those buildings are underwater, if the debts are more than the value of the building, Trump's going to get zero for that building, or he'll get like pennies on the dollar because the creditors will get paid off first.
Yeah.
That's going to be the really big one. Now, how is that going to happen or not happen? The question is whether or not Trump has committed persistent fraud and illegality, repeated and persistent fraud and illegality. Violating court orders left, right, and center would be further evidence that he is being repeated and persistent in his illegality and in his fraud. And that would be further evidence that would support a finding that the corporate charters should be canceled and his New York businesses should be stripped from him. So this could be the final reckoning for him in New York with his businesses.
Wow. Yay. Okay, because Trump's Trump's best friend, delay. Let's talk about it in regards to a couple. The headline in Politico is Judges Mull Presidential Immunity. Trump reaps the benefits of delay. Our friend Joyce Vance said one of the biggest objections to Judge Cannon's handling of the case has been the exceptional amount of delay she's indulged Trump in what should have been a fairly straightforward case. So, A, where's the immunity ruling? B, how long can Judge Cannon get away with this obvious delay for Trump?
So the immunity ruling, right now we're waiting on the D.C. Circuit.
Right.
Okay, so and that's a very good, very prestigious court. I think they're taking it very seriously, and they're probably they're working very hard on what they know will be a historic opinion.
Yeah.
What I bet is we're about to see an opinion from them that might be as long as my book. Like, this is going to be a big, like, I'm thinking it could be even 200 pages. I actually tweeted to play a guessing game. I'm asking people, how long do they think the opinion's going to be, and the closest guess will get a free copy of the book, of my book, not their
Taking
book.
down
Their
Trump.
book will be free. Their book will be free because it's an opinion.
Right.
My book, I'll give a free copy if people guess the number of pages. We're going to get this giant doorstop of an opinion from the D.C. Circuit, and that's why I think it hasn't come yet. I wish they would get it sooner, though, because I don't want to see the January 6th case get delayed. That's the one with the best chance of speedy success here. Then to Judge Cannon. God only knows. I'm actually kind of done thinking that one's going to happen very quickly. The sad part is that that's a very, very good case legally. They've got so much great evidence.
Yeah.
It's very compelling. But I think I think being stuck with her down there, where she's indulging every stupid idea that Trump comes up with.
Chris Hayes said, what courts have routinely done for Trump is drag things out for a very long time so that when they do ultimately rule against him, it doesn't much matter. The one exception were all the election challenges in 2020, which were all expedited and ruled on quickly and decisively. We need that energy this year. Boy, a truer thing has never been said. I mean, Tristan, quickly before we go, it seems like us lay people, we just look at this and go, oh, God, people with money can just appeal and appeal and appeal, I guess, forever. But there is, as you implied, an end of the road somewhere for these cases, isn't there? I mean, you can't just appeal off into infinity, can you?
No, you can't. Eventually, you're going to run out of all of that. Like, yes, he does abuse the system that way, but the kicker is that even when it's going to take longer, obviously with the election, that's the real thing. We don't have time. Because if he gets back into office and then, starts basically firing these prosecutors and scuttling these investigations, where are we going to be then? But I do feel that at some point here, he's going to run out of delays that he can manufacture here. And I do still believe that the January 6th DC case is going to happen this spring. Okay. It may not happen March 4th like we were hoping it would be. It looks like it's not going to. It's now off the court calendar. Yeah. It was on there and now it got removed. That's very sad, but I'm still hopeful that it will be a delay of weeks, not months.
Okay.
We'll have to see, but I think we just need to hang on tight. A lot of why I wrote the book was to give us a bit of a life preserver this year because we're all going to be kind of going nuts.
I was just going to say.
Able to help people. Yeah.